Hi, I'm William Evans Howe.
And I'm Karen Howe. We are both architects and design build consultants. We are welcome to the Master Builder Show.
Many people really don't understand the role of architects or the role that architects play in the society and in our environment. And so today we want to discuss what the role of architects are. What do architects have to do in the society? How does our work affect the society at large?
Architecture is more than you want to build a house, so you go to somebody to draw you some plans. It is more than just putting buildings on a site. Whatever an architect does has an overall effect on the general landscape, on the general cityscape of the entire nation. So that if you enter any nation, for example, your first impression of the nation is created by the architectural artifact that the architects in that city or that country have provided. So architecture goes beyond an individual level of providing residential accommodation for individuals, but then it defines the nation. It defines the wealth of the nation. It defines the creativity of the nation. It defines the exposure level of the nation.
As architects, we shape the environment.
Yep.
You know, people live in houses, Karen.
Exactly.
And what they don't realize is that even in the kind of house they live in, the way the house is designed affects the way they live.
Exactly.
So if you are in a house that the house is always hot, or the internal spaces are always hot, you realize that you get used to that every house must have an air condition.
Exactly.
But if you were in a home that was designed to have very good ventilation, you begin to understand that you can actually live with natural ventilation.
Yeah.
So today,
and you get to save some money
and you
with
get
your
to,
air conditioning.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So architects shape the environment.
Yep.
Architects have a bigger and a broader, their work has a broader perspective. Architects look at things like even the environmental effects of their buildings. So for example, on a large scale city planning, architects begin to consider what is the effect of all the buildings becoming glass, and what is the effect on the microclimate in a special area.
And also with the point you just raised about buildings becoming glass. You know, we are just coming from energy crisis.
Exactly.
Every tall building we have in the city, fully air conditioned. All of them pulling on the same level of power that Akosombo and the other interventions that government has generated is providing. So if as architects, our projects are more natural, our projects is able to use the natural ventilation, you realize that the general economy is also affected. Now you don't have to import so much energy. Now the energy that is being provided by the resources that we have is sufficient for everybody to use.
You know, in fact, it is perceived that the biggest energy sapping is coming from maybe vehicles or not. But research has shown that buildings actually consume more energy in a nation than any other resource. So when architects design energy efficient buildings, we actually have a huge impact on energy consumption. We have a huge impact on the cost of energy, because even we don't have to generate so much when buildings are designed efficiently. You know, architects are very sympathetic to the environment.
Yep.
Architects are trained to consider the environment. You know, unfortunately in our nation we have very few parks. But as architects, you think about creating spaces that affect people, because you know that your work affects people. So we think about the psychology of people, we think about the social infrastructure that allows people to interact. If you go to other places, they have public squares, they have open green spaces, they have parks, natural reserves, and these foster it improves the quality of living. We all travel and we are excited when we see these spaces, and we come home and we go
There's
like,
nothing.
Where are they?
I think that in effect, architects, what we actually do is we actually influence the way people live, we influence the way people play, we influence the way people worship, we influence the way even people are cared for with respect to health. So that even the hospital that you design, the church or the mosque that you go to worship at, where you enter the site from was determined by the architect. Where you go to ease yourself was determined by the architect. When you are not well, the facility that you go to was determined by the architect. So architects play a more major role in our lives, way more than we think. For example, if you happen to be an outdoor lover and you want to, you have a plot of land, for example, and you want to develop a facility, the architect considers what you like as a person to help you live the life that you want. On the other hand, even though you're an outdoor lover, or maybe you don't even like the outdoors, but your building is so hot that you have to sit outside every time, before you know it, you are trekking to the hospital for malaria. So architects actually, what we do does a lot more for society in shaping the way society lives, the health levels and all of those things.
In fact, what you are just saying has brought something to mind, that even the hospitals that are designed, architects can design hospitals that the mere environment can rejuvenate people.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes some of our hospitals, when you enter, if you are not careful, maybe you'll be staying there for long. You know, I think that as a nation, we should begin to understand the role of the architect in the built environment, and not just narrow it to I have a plot of land.
Exactly.
You know, in other jurisdictions, architects are even commissioned to design bridges.
Because of the arts, the level of arts they bring into the
Exactly,
system.
because they become monuments. So when you are entering a city, for example, if you are driving from Cape Coast and you are coming to Accra, how do you notice that you've gotten into Accra? Currently now we see a signboard that says that AMA, or Accra Metropolitan Assembly, welcomes you to Greater Accra region. But we can depict, or we can usher people to enter into the city through a monument. And sometimes it's a bridge, sometimes it's a park, sometimes it's a huge artistic element. So the role that architects play, I think that we are yet to see a greater role that architects play in this nation. Architects need to be given more opportunity, more room to look at the city.
Exactly.
Rather than just be limited to a plot of land, a project site, but look at it from a city perspective. If you go elsewhere, other architects are looking at cities. They are looking at how social interaction can be improved. You know, back in the day, or not too long ago.
You are not that old.
Yes. Not too long ago, you know, we have a culture of living together.
Yes.
The courtyard. Now we have gone to very isolated living, which the West has done so much. Now they want to come back to communal living, because sometimes isolation kills people.
And even the isolation, it also has a bearing on the rate of crime. Exactly. Or the security of our neighborhoods. So that if every household is so isolated, even when there's danger, who do you call?
Exactly.
So architecture even influences security levels in our neighborhoods and in our offices.
Yeah, even if you are developing, let's say, a real estate project per se, you know, modern trends teaches us that transparency is the new security. You know, if you are in you're developing, for example, a small community, let's say a 15 or 20 house community or 20 home community, chances are that 20 homes, everybody will know everybody.
Exactly.
Now, in such an environment, if you're able to design the space or the environment that is transparent, if somebody is in his house, he can say hello to somebody. It fosters interaction. It fosters social interaction. And it also fosters security, because if somebody jumped into your house, everybody knows that this guy, we don't know him.
Exactly.
Immediately you find out, I'm seeing somebody in your yard. Who is that? So even it goes beyond. So it's so broad.
I think the bottom line is that architects have a lot more to offer. There is so much more we have up our sleeves that we can help to build a nation. You shouldn't go too far before you involve architects. Bring the architect on board, bring us on board right from the idea stage. Immediately the idea drops in your mind, call on your architect. and have this, bounce it off him and see how you can improve the value of your thoughts.
I just want to say that as architects are designed to be critical thinkers, not just designing a building. They are critical thinkers, which means that an architect can even look at a social idea and think through critically. So it's important to involve architects in projects right from the idea stage, just like you said, because they have the ability to think critically, identify resources, identify challenges, and make interventions for the better.
I think it's been a good time. Thank you very much. We trust that you learned something.
And I've enjoyed the tea.
You barely drank it. I think I drank mine. We'll see you again.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers.